Hello everyone, welcome to Fixed Focus program. I am Ibrahim Hashemi and this is another video. In this video, I want to introduce a solar tracker that is easy to make for everyone. Stay with me. In the previous videos, I showed how to make an accurate tracker. You can see the video address at the top of the page. Although this stair tracker works very accurately, it may be difficult for many people to make it. Now, I want to make another tracker with this small plastic ball, which is almost good in accuracy. The ball should not be too big and not too small. I want to use small 5mm photocells and place some of them on different points of this ball. By properly installing the photocells on this ball, we can make a 360-degree space solar tracker. And in this case, the tracker can track the sun anywhere in space. Let's start working together. To make this solar tracker, we need a number of 5mm photocells, and be sure to check these photocells with an ohmmeter to make sure they are healthy. Photocells do not have positive and negative poles and can be used easily. We will check each of the photocells and see that it is easy to test them with a hand shadow. We need a glue gun and a 40-watt soldering machine, a thin and quality soldering wire, some plaster, and 2 small plastic balls are enough. We need a plastic tube with a suitable diameter of 5mm, which we use to store photocells. To prepare this tube, I have used a coaxial cable cover, and I have pulled out its shield and core. You can see that the photocell can be placed inside it. We continue the work. I tested all the photocells and they are all healthy. Of course, you can use big photocells, but the problem is that their ohm value is not compatible with the small photocells that we need 100%, so I don't use them. And I only use 5mm photocells, the exact size of which you can see in the figure. I will cut the tubes I mentioned to approximately half a centimeter. To draw a line on the ball, I use another ball and cut it from the part where the edge of the ball mold was. Now, by placing the hemisphere on the other ball, I can make a more precise marking. Now I mark the points where the photocells will be placed. One of these photocells is the main photocell, whose place is in the middle of the ball's surface. I will place the top of the tracker here and mark it. So, this photocell is placed facing the sun and gives the command to lock the circuit. I mark the sub-photocells that are responsible for vertical movement with this plastic hemisphere. The top 2 photocells command the solar dish to move down and the bottom 2 photocells command the dish to move up. Now, let's move on to the marking of the secondary photocells that will be the cause of the horizontal movement of the solar dish. These photocells are responsible for the left and right horizontal movement. The total number of photocells that need to be installed in this hemisphere is 13. The main part of the tracker is this hemisphere. And the back hemisphere will only include photocells that only cause the left and right movement of the solar dish. I make the upper and lower part of the tracker more colorful so that it does not get erased because it is very important. The marking of the second hemisphere was also done in this way. Now, we carefully cut the plastic ball from the appendage part of the ball. You can see that the signs are clearly visible from inside the hemisphere. Well, now we solder the bases of the photocell with suitable pieces of flexible flat cable. Now I soldered 13 photocells with pieces of flexible flat cable and placed a small tube at the end of each one. For the main photocell, the length of the tube should be longer, which I consider 2 centimeters. Of course, the longer the length of the tube, the more accurate the solar tracker is, but the sub-photocells and the side of it should be closer and more in number. I put the edge of the photocell inside the tube and glue the back of it. Now I want to glue all the photocells from the inside to the marked points. Now, I separate each group of photocells, which includes left, right, top, bottom, and center, with adhesive tape. Now 5 separate groups are formed and we pour plaster inside it. Try not to pour the plaster to the edge because we will need this empty space later. Just enough to cover the photocells is enough. Well, we allow the plaster to harden. Now the plaster has hardened and we put it aside for now and go to the other hemisphere. The number of photocells required for this hemisphere is 10. Now I've prepared these 10 photocells and I'm sticking them. Like the previous hemisphere, I pour plaster inside it. Remember not to fill the plaster to the edge of the hemisphere. Now the cast of the second hemisphere has also hardened. Now I open the adhesive tapes that I have packed. Pay attention to this point. We have to solder a string of all the photocells together, so there is one more wire left for each photocell. In the main hemisphere that you can see, the yellow line is the common thread of all photocells. And the other colors correspond to the second wire of each photocell, which is connected and soldered with its own group. Six separate groups were formed in this main hemisphere: 1. Common wires, 2. Central 3, top 4, bottom 5, left 6, right. The same is done for the other hemisphere. Three groups were formed in this hemisphere: 1. Common, 2. Left 3, right. And now we connect and solder the wires of the same group of both hemispheres. Now we need to connect the two hemispheres by injecting plaster. And in general, we have 6 communication points that we need to connect to the control circuit, and for this I use a 6-strand flexible flat cable. First, we specify a wire from the beginning and the end of the flat cable so that we don't have problems later. Of course, we can specify them later, but it will be time-consuming. I connect the first wire to a strand of wire left over from the center photocell. I use suitable pieces of heat shrink tubing to connect the wires. Soldering and connections are finished. and we need to glue the two hemispheres together according to the top and bottom directions. This tracker requires a base. I prepared a T-shaped screw, where the T part is placed inside and between the two hemispheres. This base is placed at the bottom of the detector, and you can see that the empty space was meant for the wires and the base to be placed in it. Now, by preparing some plaster, we glue the two hemispheres together. We pour the plaster in the empty space and arrange the base and the wires and press the two hemispheres together in the right direction. In order to keep the sphere under pressure, we use the hemisphere of another plastic ball. We allow the plaster to harden well. Now the plaster has hardened and we can remove the hemisphere. Now I try to separate the two plastic hemispheres from the tracker. If I do not do this, the plaster will not dry. You can see that the real shape of the tracker is like this. This is the central photocell, which is extremely important, and the rest are sub-photocells. Now I will put this in front of the sun to dry quickly. And after it dries, we test it. To make the tracker control circuit, it is better to use the simple circuit of the old 741 IC, which is a cheap IC and can be found everywhere. This circuit that you can see in the figure is a photocell circuit, and potentiometer R7 adjusts the sensitivity of the photocell. The circuit you see is made up of a number of photocell circuits. And in this figure, you can make the solar tracker control circuit according to it. I hope that the desired shape is clear. In order to see the circuit better, I have cut it into two parts, A and B. Each photocell circuit located in this electronic circuit works independently. The common base of the photocells will be connected to the positive, and the base of each other group will be connected to its own photocell circuit. The central circuit is related to the central photocell, and if the light hits the central photocell, its relay is activated and cuts the current of all other circuits. It has been 2 days since this tracker dried, and it has completely dried. And we can test it with an ohm meter. I will adjust the camera so that you can see better. If you remember, this wire is related to the central photocell. Now I connect one clamp of the ohm meter to the common wire and connect the other clamp to this central photocell wire. You can see that if light hits the photocell, the ohm meter needle moves. I make the ohm meter range more sensitive. If I put my finger in front of it, the ohm meter needle does not move, so the photocell is healthy. In the same way, we check the upper photocells. You can see that they are healthy, and by shading them, the needle moves less. We test the lower part in the same way. And you can see that they act correctly. Now we test the left part, and because it contains more number of photocells that are closed in parallel with each other, the darkness affects them less. but they are all healthy. The potentiometer in the tracker circuit can easily reduce or increase the sensitivity of photocells. And we need to adjust the circuit with these same potentiometers. The right side is like the left side and they are all healthy. If the plaster in the tracker has a little moisture, the tracker will not work properly, and therefore we must prevent water from penetrating into the tracker. Also, photocells should not be directly exposed to sunlight, so a suitable cover should be placed on them. The hemisphere of the plastic ball is good, but water should not penetrate inside. There are different ways for this purpose. The easiest way is to apply a layer of silicone adhesive paste all around it. And before the silicone glue dried, he placed plastic hemispheres on the tracker. You can also use red nail polish. You can even add another hemisphere and make sure that water does not penetrate and the photocell is not exposed to direct sunlight. Be sure to use the circuit specially designed for this tracker. Of course, I have to use the step tracker circuit to test it, because it is troublesome to replace it. Be careful in making the tracker and this circuit, and the result of your work depends on your accuracy. Let's go to test the solar tracker on the fixed focus system. To test the tracker, I first separate the step tracker from the fixed focus system. I will temporarily leave the tracker here. Now I will install the solar tracker we made. I want to use the previous tracker circuit to start it because it will be a lot of trouble to change the circuit. Well, I connected the wires with the socket to the circuit, and the LED for the left horizontal movement is lit. And we can see the slow movement of the rubber roller, and this movement is done very slowly until the sunlight hits the vertical photocells. Now I put the plastic cover of the tracker hemisphere and the vertical movement is in progress. Now you can see that the focal point is in front of the light. Now the solar dish is in a fixed position and the tracker has easily been able to place the dish perpendicular to the sun. I hope you can make this tracker easily. I recommend that you use the circuit that I showed in the video, which will work easily, and I designed the circuit based on this detector. Try not to place the photocells directly in front of the sun's radiation because they will deteriorate after a while. Wishing you success. Bye until the next video. Most videos on Fixed Focus channel have their own innovation and you won't regret watching them. Thank you for subscribing and liking.